Hello. So, after completing my interview with the leader of my choice, which was my dad, these are his answers to some of the questions. I'll say the questions, say what his answer was, say how kind of I reflected on it, why I chose him. So, I chose him because I see him as a leader. He also has a lot of experience within like leadership. He worked in the hearing aid business for about 30 years. He was VP of finance at one of his hearing aid jobs, and now he just helps people kind of sell their businesses and leads people down the paths that they want to go financially, lifestyle wise. And so to start off with the first question, what strategies or approaches do you prioritize to build and motivate a strong team? So when I asked him that, his first response, like instantly, he said that in the hearing aid business, like particularly, that trust and communication is really like what he prioritized personally. He says that like he still uses the same approach when he talks to not only his coworkers but also his clients. He wants them to feel like they can trust him, because when they trust him, they kind of tell him like what's really going on, and they like in the hearing aid business, it's kind of hard to be vulnerable, especially for older people, and he wants people to feel that trust so that they can come to him when situations are good and especially when situations are bad. So the second question, tell me about a challenging decision you had to make as a leader and how you worked through it. And my dad said that he had to fire a lot of people, and that was a really big challenge, and that for him it made him feel like honestly like really guilty about it. And so the way that he worked through that is like talking with his higher ups, talking with his coworkers, and like really trying to think about long-term goals and how the future is going to play out, because he basically had to choose what was best for the company. And I don't know, he got into morals about it too. We talked a lot about this question. He also said that he would always try to slow down, gather as much information as he can, really reflect on the decisions that he was making in order to like just understand the goal. He always really like went back to the goal, always going back to the goal. What's your goal? What's your long-term goal? Like, what is the vision that he has for the company that he works for? Like, what their morale is, how he can help reflect that. So every time he goes through challenging things, he always tries to reflect on the values of the company, the values of himself, and like not lose himself through those challenging situations. And so question 3, how do you stay adaptable and innovative when you are facing change or adversity? And he said just always being like a lifetime learner, always realizing that you don't always have the answer for everything. You don't always know what's going to happen next. And he also said for this one to take risks and not to be afraid of like the unknown, which I found really, really kind of inspiring. So for the fourth question, he said, what values are fundamental to your leadership style? How do you make sure that they show up in your team and organization? And my dad said patience was his top priority as a leadership style, because when he works with a lot of new people on the team, he basically has to coach them up to like the standard, I guess. And so he says that having patience with these people helps calm himself down, because in actuality he's really not a patient person, but at work he's like a whole different human. And so he said patience for that one. Question 5, describe a time when you had to reconcile conflicting viewpoints among team members or stakeholders. How did you reach a resolution? And so for this one, he said that he wants everyone around him to be heard, obviously, but going back to those like the values of the company, the morale of the company, like what is best for that long term is usually what he goes back into. And like he said, honestly, like he just does what his higher ups tell him to do. But most of the time with his leadership style, like if he does something wrong or if someone has a disagreement, he really tries hard to see both perspectives of the situation. And talking to him about all these questions was really, really insightful. And yeah, thank you for listening.